All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, it's all about the 34th overall pick, right? That second round pick. It's so valuable. It's so important. Literally only a couple spots away, a couple draft picks away from it being a first round pick. Okay, so in this one, I really wanted to talk about 10 prospects that could potentially be on the board that the New York Jets should be targeting. So with that being said, let's dive in. So the first player on this list is probably the best player at his position in this entire draft class. It's center from Oklahoma, Creed Humphrey. Okay, Creed Humphrey's been mocked pretty much all over the map, right? Some people have him in round 1, some people have him in round 3, a lot of people have him going in round 2 somewhere. Early round 2. So I feel like spot number 34 is the perfect place to land a Creed Humphrey if he doesn't go maybe late bottom 1 to a team like Green Bay. But all in all, Creed Humphrey's 6'4", 310 pounds, a great athlete, tons of production in college, moves well in space, really good in pass protection. On top of all of those things, he has a huge upside, right? So the room to get better is there as well. All in all, we know Creed Humphrey is a great center prospect coming out of Oklahoma. So the question now becomes, okay, we know he's good, but does he fit what the Jets want to do on offense? Does he fit what Mike LaFleur wants to accomplish with this new zone blocking attack? And the answer is yes, because he's such a great athlete, right? Getting to the second level, moving well in space, not being confused post-snap, knowing where he needs to be. All of these traits are really important in this new Mike LaFleur offense. So I think if Creed Humphrey is on the board with this 34th overall pick, the Jets should definitely take a look. Next up, player number 2 on this list wouldn't be coming in at a huge position of need. Like, we have to figure out this position ASAP, much like Creed Humphrey with interior offensive line. But this player specifically is so dynamic, so creative, so explosive on the offensive side of the football. And he definitely will be helping out this Jets offense if he's taken. It's running back from Clemson, Travis Etienne. Okay, 5'10", 205 pounds. I would say right now Etienne is one of the most versatile players in the entire draft. I mean, this is a player who can stay on the field for all 3 downs. That's huge. He could do damage running inside, running outside in the pass game. I felt like every time Etienne touched the football back at Clemson, he was going to take it the distance, right? Over 900 rushing yards and 48 catches. So this guy was a pivotal piece for the Clemson Tiger offense, and he has been for the last couple of seasons. So he has the acceleration, he has the burst. His pro comparison is Alvin Kamara for a reason here. I would love the fit. I would really love the fit. And I'm kind of picturing it now. You know, Zach Wilson coming in with a huge arm, with a really quick release, hitting Travis Etienne out of the backfield on 3rd and 3 checkdowns. Who is stopping that? Who is stopping that? I love that duo. Next up, player number 3, one of my favorite players in the entire draft. It's Penn State tight end Pat Freiermuth, 6'5", 250 pounds, a big body tight end with a huge catch radius, great hands, and playmaking ability. I mean, you go back and you watch Penn State games or Freiermuth highlights, you'll see not only just how much of a role he had within the Nittany Lions offense, but how much of a dominant player he can be, right? Especially like inside the hash marks, in the red zone, on curl routes, just has that security blanket, not afraid of contact, plays with grit, almost, it's funny, he almost challenges defenders, like, I want you to hit me so I can make you look bad while you fail. It's a weird kind of thing. It's totally awesome to watch. It's really cool. He kind of reminds me of George Kittle. Now, I'm not saying he is George Kittle, and I'm not just saying that, because Mike LaFleur is coming from San Francisco, nothing like that, but just they both play with a similar level of intensity, and they want contact, they want the football, they want the offense to be driven through them, and that's always awesome, especially when you're dealing with a position that's not the quarterback, or not a wide receiver, or not the running back, the tight end. I mean, that just adds so much toughness to the team. And like I said before, great size, really good catch rate, really big catch radius. And by the way, you also take a look at the Jets offense. We don't really have that reliable receiving threat from the tight end position. Yeah, we brought in Croft, Ryan Griffin is there, Chris Herndon is here. Do we really feel like fantastic about that position going into the season with the current roster? Personally, I don't. I know there's still some guys still rooting for Chris Herndon, and you know, I am too for sure, but I'm not under the mindset of, okay, we're completely done at this position. So I think we could use some talent. What better guy than Pat Freiermuth in round 2? Next up, player number 4, cornerback from Florida State, Asante Samuel Jr., 5'10", 185. I completely understand that Samuel has excelled as that outside cornerback for the Noles, right? Really quick feet, a beast in man coverage, playmaking ability, it's all there. He's done a really, really good job. But I think if the Jets were to pick Samuel, in this case round 2, I think his best fit for the team would be the slot cornerback position, the nickel corner. I mean, you look at defenses today, this position is so important. How many times do defenses line up in nickel packages? It's so much more common today than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, personally, right, this is just my opinion, I feel like the nickel cornerback position today is so much more valuable than it was back then, and it's underpaid. I feel like it's kind of an undervalued position. But beside the point, when I look at Asante Samuel, his size, his traits, right? Again, really good in man coverage, sticking with his assignment, really quick feet, understanding what's happening in short distances. He's a monster in short passing situations as well. I think he would come in and really, really do a nice job at that position. Plus, you're looking at that spot with the New York Jets. We've shown no urgency to bring back Brian Poole. He is still out there, and of course the team could still bring him back. That's great. And K'Wan Williams was another guy who I felt like could have benefited this team in a big, big way, but he's off the board. He's unavailable. He re-signed. Okay, so all in all, I feel like Samuel would come in, step in, and be that starting day one nickel corner, and I think that's huge. Also, the assumption would be, because we have Robert Saleh and a great defensive coaching staff in place, Samuel would only start going in the right direction, right? His talents would be maximized eventually, and with time, he would only get better. So Asante Samuel, to me, is super, super intriguing here, just because the Jets have literally done nothing to address this slot cornerback spot. Player number 5, linebacker from the LSU Tigers, former member of the North Dakota State Bison, Jabril Cox, 6'4", 230. I think he would be a perfect system fit in the Robert Saleh 4-3 defense as that weak side linebacker, a position right now that we don't have. Now, of course, it could be addressed through free agency. Who knows? There's still some guys out there, but I think if you're looking at risers, I think if you're looking at core pieces to build around, leaders at the position, athletic players that are really good in coverage, Jabril Cox is your guy. I mean, you look at what he did not only just at North Dakota State, but at LSU as well. There's a reason why he's flying up draft boards, okay? Great in open space, wrapping up an open field. Awesome in pass defense, right? Dropping back in zone coverage against tight end, slot wide receivers. Again, really solid in open field, understanding what the offense is trying to do. So high defensive IQ, knowing the fastest route to get from A to B. Overall, he's a perfect linebacker for today's league. And I feel like with the Jets having a huge need here, he could be the pick. Now, of course, 34 is a little high for Jabril Cox. Right now, the rumor is that he's going to go anywhere from the mid 40s to the late 50s. That's kind of his range, his ballpark. So 34 is a tad bit of a reach, but if the Jets want him, obviously he's coming in at a huge position of need. Robert Saleh, it's his first draft as head coach. If he wants his guy, I can say okay, because we do have the 2 first-round picks and we do have the 2 third-round picks. We have multiple picks next season. Let's give Robert Saleh the guy that he wants to work with. Next up, we're going back to the running back position. This time it's going to be at Alabama. It's Najee Harris. Okay, 6'2", 230 pounds. Najee Harris has the potential to be an absolute workhorse. He could come in and be the running back 1 for this team, and quite frankly, be the starting running back for a lot of teams out there. He's consistent. He has so many good traits about him. Yards after contact, I would say, probably is my favorite thing about him. Also, just letting Najee Harris work between the tackles, I feel like just kind of getting him in sync, just feeding him a lot. He gets better throughout the game. Much like a Zeke Elliott, I don't think he's one of these guys that will get tired after the first quarter, after, maybe a lot of work. Now, granted, Mike LaFleur, or really San Francisco as a whole, San Francisco's offensive staff last season was kind of notorious for attacking the running back position from more of a quantity as opposed to quality perspective. They had a ton of running backs have some sort of success. They never really had the McCaffrey, the Zeke Elliott, the Kamara, nobody really like that, but they had a stable of guys ready to go, fresh legs all the time. I think Najee Harris kind of fits that mold where he could come in, lead this running back group. You have Tevin Coleman behind you to work out of the backfield. And by the way, Najee Harris can catch passes as well. So I think at the end of the day, whether you prefer Harris or Etienne, you can't really go wrong. Etienne might be a little bit more creative, might be a little bit more dynamic, but I don't think Harris, I don't necessarily think that's a knock on Najee Harris, because I think he's better after the after contact, and I think you could really just put tons and tons and tons of work on his plate, and he's not going to slow down, not in the least. Next up, linebacker from Ohio State, Baron Browning, 6'3", 240 pounds. Browning, much like Jabril Cox, would come in and fill that same 4-3 weak side linebacker. He's a perfect system fit for what Robert Saleh wants to do. I think when you look at Browning's career as a whole, a little bit of a late bloomer, comes in with a ton of high expectations, 5-star athlete coming in from high school. Took him a little bit to get into the swing of things, but once everything clicked, he started to take off. He's another one of these risers, coincidentally, much like Jabril Cox, all right? Kind of thought of as a 3rd round, 4th round guy, but now he's shooting up boards, and people are talking about him going in round 2 legitimately, all right? So you're looking at his size and his physical capabilities, athletic freak. I really think that it's up to the right coaching staff and the right scheme, and Baron Browning can absolutely dominate. His stock is trending upwards. You look at what he did at the end of last season, that was arguably the best football that he's ever played. He continues to get better with time. Again, he was a late bloomer, so I really feel like the best is yet to come with Browning. Next up, corner from UGA, Eric Stokes. Now, Stokes could go bottom 1. I could definitely see a team like the Buffalo Bills maybe pulling the trigger, possibly the Green Bay Packers, we'll see. But I think if Eric Stokes is there, round 2, he could be an option for the New York Jets because he's so good in zone coverage. You look at his size, 6'1", 185. He has the speed to play at the next level as well. It's just a matter of tweaking a couple things here and there. Not the best in man coverage or anything like that, but I think Stokes can actually be pretty effective in certain packages under Robert Saleh. We all know he loves to run the cover 4, cover 3, all that good stuff, and that's awesome because Stokes excels in zone coverage. Great. But at times, Robert Saleh likes to press the corners. I feel like in that situation at the next level, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like Stokes is more of an off corner where he can line up 10 yards off of the wide receiver and really read what the offense is doing and then react from there. Use his size, use his length, and then use his world-class speed to make an impact. So I feel like at the end of the day, Stokes will be coming in at a huge position of need, and I could very well see him being the pick at 34 because of his talent level as well. Next up, a super versatile player here, guard/center from Alabama, Landon Dickerson, 6'6", 333 pounds. If the Jets miss out on a Creed Humphrey, I could very well see Landon being in play here. Now, there's some question marks about a scheme fit, and those question marks are real, but at the end of the day, Dickerson has so much strength, so much power, so much versatility. You can play him at guard year 1. If McGovern struggles and they want to part ways with him after the season and save money, you can take Dickerson and put him at center next season. The upside is there as well, the overall size, the power, just an overall a really, really, really good prospect. The only drawback is the system fit, but the Jets didn't do, they're honestly, Joe Douglas and the Jets, they're in between a rock and a hard place because they didn't address the position at all in free agency outside of Dan Feeney. And if this is the scenario where Creed Humphrey's off the board, I could definitely see Landon being in play. And last but not least, linebacker/edge rusher from Texas, Joseph Ossai, 6'4", 250, a high motor player, extremely productive edge rusher at Texas, back-to-back seasons, sophomore year and junior year, where he had crazy tackles for loss, crazy sack numbers, 13.5 tackles for loss, sophomore year, 15.5, his junior year, and then sacks were, 5 sacks sophomore year, 5.5 his junior year. Overall, a high effort player, a high motor player, definitely a Robert Saleh type of guy. Also fits the system opposite of Carl Lawson on the other side of the edge. I don't really know if he would be the every down consistent edge rusher, but he has the speed, he has the explosiveness, and he does fit the system. So I can easily see him being in play here. Might be a little bit too high at spot number 34. Some people have him going in round 1. We'll see where he lands, but I definitely feel like he could be on Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh's draft board. So I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I know this is a longer video, so I appreciate everybody sticking around. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.